Welcome to Ghost Education 101, where curiosity meets experience and the doors to the entire paranormal landscape are finally open. Hosted by Dr. Heather Leigh and Dr. Tiffany Frazier, this series is built for everyone who wants to understand the unexplained the right way. Whether you're just stepping into the unknown or you've been investigating for years, this is the place where you can sharpen your approach, deepen your understanding, and cut through the misconceptions that have overrun this field for far too long. Each episode walks you through the full spectrum of paranormal activity. Classic hauntings, intelligent spirits, cryptids, elemental beings, poltergeist phenomena, and the modern challenges investigators face today. We break it all down. The science, the method, and the mystery, without dumbing it down and without drifting into theatrics. Grounded in research, history, and real-world investigation, Ghost Education 101 is your classroom, your laboratory, and your gateway into the most compelling unexplained experiences on record. Learn, question, discover. Welcome to Ghost Education 101. Now, here are your hosts, Dr. Heather Leigh and Dr. Tiffany Frazier.
Good evening, everyone. Hey, Tiffany, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
Good. Oh, tired, but we're here. We're doing this.
Look forward to this episode every week. So
I know. Yes, it's actually the highlight of my week compared to my job. Yeah. That's all I gotta say.
For sure.
And tonight I've been looking forward to this. I've known David for several years, looking forward to having him here. Had him on another one of my shows. Great conversation. I unfortunately wish I had his book to show. Hopefully he has one ready to show us when he comes on, because I'm still, yep, he does. I see it back there. I'm still packed from the move. It's been 6 months and I'm still packed. I'm never going to get unpacked.
Has it really been 6? It hasn't been 6 months yet.
July.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I'm still not unpacked.
That's crazy, because I know, we were working together for months before we started together on the show. So I can't believe it's been that long.
Yes. So rather than drag out this introduction like I tend to do, because I like to babble, and I mean, everyone laughs at me when I continue carrying on, but I'm going to bring David on if my mouse works. There we go. Hey, David, welcome to the show. How are you doing today?
Hello.
Fine, Heather. Fine. Nice to see you, Tiffany. Nice to see you, Heather. How are you guys doing?
Great. Love your shirt, by the way. I saw you stand up when you were in the background. I was like, oh my God, I got to get that shirt.
I actually have 5. I have 5 of these actually in this color. I have 3 in the tan color, but yes, okay. Just in case.
You have the perfect house for that shirt.
Exactly. And I figured if I lose one or one gets torn, which one did, I said, I've got a backup. And I said, what about if that one goes? He said, you need another backup and another. I said, yeah, you can stay in one. It's like, yeah, I mean, I'm constantly wearing the hell out of them as well. Yeah.
Right. And with as many spirits as you have, they may just disappear on you.
Yeah. I've watched one floating around the house going, is that my shit? Really? Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah, you just never know with this house. My gosh.
Yeah.
Well, to jump right into that, David, I mean, since you just brought that up and you mentioned it, have you gotten used to the house after all of these years? Like, do things still surprise you?
I'd say I was never unused to the house. It's the spirits that visit the house. See, the house is one thing, but I designate the house as one thing and the spirits that visit here is another thing, because the house is constant. Mm-hmm. The spirits, on the other hand, are constantly coming and going, and stuff's happening. And I mean, I've got a journal through the past 24 years now of the house and the experiences I've had here. And it's never the same thing twice, with the exception of the figurines on the aquarium getting knocked over. Mm-hmm. It's always just random, strange things, from a faucet turning on in the sink upstairs or in my bathroom to a sock randomly being drawn across, not drawn, but moved across, sliding across the floor 3 feet in front of me. And I'm like, okay, I saw that. I definitely saw that. And I said, that's just. And I mean, it's not like boo and chains rattling. I mean, let's just start from the honest to goodness beginning. It's not scary. It's like I said, it's random. The faucet's turning on, you'd go, okay, that's a cool trick. But as I said to them myself when it happened to me, I said, you know, I love it. It's a great gag. But I said, we're going through a drought here in California. This isn't a really good thing to keep doing, you know, because if I'm not in the room when it happens and you just happen to let it, you know, 150, 250, 300 gallons run through the system and I'm not aware of it till I catch it, because that's not a good idea. I said,
I'm from California, so I know those bills.
Oh, yeah. I mean, this is what we're talking. Yeah. This has got to be about 12 years ago. So we were in the height of the drought.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I was like going, well, that's great. I said, I appreciate it. I said, you finally did it for me. It took you 6 years since you did it for my friend Adam, and you did it for this other woman, but you haven't done it for me, and I'm the last to get it. I said, well, I appreciate it. I said, but I mean, and people go, I said, what am I going to do? I'm going to sit there and freak out because the faucet turned on? Whoop-de-doo. I said, it's not that scary of a moment in my life. I've seen more, you know, nothing threatening, but more curious things than that. But I said, you know, it's not like the water didn't like spray up into my face. Then I would have been like, is that so? Oh my God. I mean, that would have been funny, but it would have been more assaulting on me with the faucet turning on. That didn't happen. It's just both handles turned on, and I'm like,
yeah.
And I seriously, I said, well, I said, I appreciate it, but literally, you did it for my friend Adam, and he did it for they did it for somebody else in the 3rd level bathroom, and I was like, why am I always the last to see this happen in person? And I mean, that's how I feel. When it first happened to Adam up here, I said to the spirits, I went in there, I said, how come I'm not the first? I said, why is he so special?
Yeah.
I said, I like to see some stuff too, you know. I said, it's nice to let be a part of the gag. And it's like, I mean, people go, are you serious? I said, yeah, because I don't feel threatened by the spirits to begin with. So if they're going to do something and it's going to be audacious on that level, and it's literally, it to me, that's pretty trippy when you get to see the 2 faucet handles, like the Ghost of Mrs. Muir, turn on their own. That to me is, I'm like I'm flat out blown away going, that's so cool. I said, God, you really are here. I said, because I see in my mind Captain Greg from the Ghost of Mrs. Muir turning the handles on and going, well, what do you think now, Mr. You know, Charles Nelson Riley, whatever the character's name was. I forgot it. But I'm like, well, that's so cool. I love that shit. You guys are not scaring me. You guys are entertaining me and blowing me away. I love it. I think it's great. So when you do it,
that's why they're not doing it for you. They're trying to scare the other people away because they know they're not going to get rid of you.
Yeah.
Well, they know they can't get rid of me. But I mean, my friend Adam's in there in the bathroom, literally right behind me, going to the, you know, taking a leak. And he says, all of a sudden from behind me, I hear the sound of water going, and he goes, I turn around and look over my shoulder, and both of the faucets handles are turned full on. And I'm like, oh my God. And I just ran out of the bathroom. I said, you didn't flush. You didn't zip up your zipper. I said, good thing, you would have hurt yourself. And you basically got terrified. I said, you didn't wash your hands either. I said, you know, maybe they're telling you something, Adam. And like I said, stuff happens here, and it's like, I'm always just like curiously amused by it. I'm never like, oh my God. It's like, so what? So what? I said, I like that. I think that's kind of cool. You know, front door opens on its own. It's like, well, I just locked the son of a bitch, and they open the door. I said, well, if the dog gets out, you're going to have to bring her ass back in the house. So, you know.
Yeah. So one thing I actually did want to bring up today is your book. We did talk about it briefly in the introduction. I was still living in Florida. Yeah, I think Florida before I moved into a long time ago. I've had it for a while. Absolutely love how you go through the history of the property and all of that stuff. Have you discovered anything new about the history? Because I know there's some Native American information you had in there. And of course, the Manson murders just down the road from where you're at. Anything new come about?
As far as the history is concerned?
Yeah, well, that you might have discovered in research?
No. Shut up. That's not very funny. That's not historical. That's not history. That's conspiracy. That's not history. Ends in a Y, but that's not the same.
Please do share.
Well, you do know the book Chaos, right?
Heard of it.
I'm not familiar with that one.
All right, let me get this information so I don't mess it up. I don't want to mispronounce the person's name. Tom. God, will you get that out of there? God, great. Here, let me see. Here we go. Tom. Where's his information? Boy, I can't believe it. There it is, Tom O'Neill. So Tom O'Neill reached out to me. He's the author of the book Chaos. Mm-hmm. And he mentioned that he wanted to come by and see the house. And he asked if I have any kind of a courtesy. I forgot exactly what he said, but something to the effect here. I'll read it exactly what he said. If I allow do I do courtesy visits for fellow travelers? I don't exactly understand what that meant. And then he says his name, and he says book author of Chaos. He has a few friends from the UK who'd love to visit with him. So I sent him a response back saying, look, I live here. This is my home. And, if you want to come here, I'd be happy to offer you a tour. I said, and give you the whole spiel, but it's going to, you have to give me a few dollars for, my time and, effort to put this off. Never heard back from him. Mm-hmm. And I was like, okay. And then I talked to Scott Michaels, and he says, he's got a book called Chaos. And he has a lot of different interesting points of reference as far as the Sharon Tate murder is concerned. And I said to Scott, he said, so what are some of them? He says, well, that Stephen Parent was the last person to die, was the first person to die. No, it was the last person to die that night. And I said, based upon what though? I said, all the testimony of the witnesses, which were the murderers, who basically told and confessed how the murders went down, and said that Stephen Parent was the first one to die. And then I guess you'd call it the evidence by the neighbors who heard the sounds of gunshots early in the evening. And the first round of gunshots was around shortly after 12 midnight, which corresponded to Stephen Parent being murdered. Mm-hmm. So I said, I don't know, never heard, but it was just kind of interesting. So I didn't understand the word fellow traveler. Am I a traveler? I don't know. You guys travelers too? I didn't quite understand that in the context of what his message was, but okay.
Yeah. Yeah, Jerry says it's a great read, so I'm thinking she read it.
Which Chaos? She's talking about Chaos. I personally, like I said, I don't believe in any of the conspiracy theories about the book. I mean, about the murders. I think that unfortunately people have a problem accepting the facts as they are, and don't like to hear about the facts that as much as people want to change the narrative and say that Vincent Bugliosi knew this was going to be a big seller and a big I go back and I look, no, he really didn't. And furthermore, using and applying present day method or perspective to what we do today, to what was being done 50 years plus ago, is insane.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning that 56 years ago, there wasn't such a thing as the crime media culture, which we now have in so many different ways. You have YouTube. There wasn't a YouTube. People weren't true crime enthusiasts. This wasn't like it is today. So whatever today is was not what was going on back in 1969.
Yeah.
This is the whole problem with it. And the worst part is when you look at the interviews of the girls that were not in prison and those that also conspired to go against the family, like Diane Lake and a few of the other ones, their testimony contemporaneously was what it was, meaning what they said at the time then. That's the dead bell going off, by the way.
I thought I recognized that ding.
That's the second time it's gone off in about 18 minutes since I turned it on. Just think about what I just said, because if you look at it for the way it was back in 1969, 1970, Vincent Bugliosi wasn't licking his chops like they portray him now to be, this kind of avarice, voracious appetite prosecutor who was thinking of all the money he was going to make and this and that. There wasn't that type of a industry at that time. Mm-hmm. And the idea that he was going to make bank on the book and this and that. Do you really think that he, at the time, as a assistant district attorney, was sitting there prosecuting the Manson case with how should I say, eyes of grandeur and being like greedy and vociferous? Or do you think he was actually going after the case that was there, that was presented to him by the people that were the Manson family, for lack of better words?
Yeah, I think he was more hungry for that.
He was more hungry to prosecute them, and they also hung themselves by their own tail, because if you look at the documentary called Manson, which I've seen, it blows your mind. And it's what I'm saying. The documentary was an embedded reporter was with the family in 1970 and 71 for 6 months. He was, I think it was late 70 into early 71. And he's interviewing the family that's not in jail, including that Squeaky Fromm. And they are not acting. They're not reading from some cockamamie freaking script. They're just spilling their guts, as it was, about what was going on at the thing and bragging about it in no uncertain terms. There is not a single act. These are the real people. And again, contemporaneously, meaning at the time, then, not 10, 15, 20, 30, 40, 50 years later, but at the time, how they felt, which is really all that freaking matters. Because the last thing I want to hear is from some gosh darn jailbird that's sitting there rotting in jail some 30 years after the murders, trying to sell a story that he can't sell because, or she can't sell because you've heard it before and no one's paying money for the same old story. So you got to figure that their interest is now that their whole perspective of what happened after rotting in jail for that many years has kind of rotted them to the point where they can't stand Manson, and they realize they're sitting in jail alive but rotting. And it's all because Charlie Manson and their allegiance to him has rotted to the core. So they're going to say whatever they can to sell a story to get themselves back in the public eye.
So David, at what point did you connect your experiences to Sharon Tate and those who were murdered?
That's a great question. I don't think I've ever had that question put to me. No, seriously, that's an interesting way to put it. All right, yeah, there you go. Thank you. When the day that I got the call in late November on a Sunday morning in 1998, my dad calls me up and says, "David, get up." I said, "Dad, it's 8 in the morning." He goes, "Well, I found a lot." I said, "Yeah, that's terrific, Dad." He goes, "It's in Beverly Hills. It's $40,000. And this, again, is before the internet. So there's no Google. This is right in the old-fashioned newspaper, the Sunday Classified, which was thick in the LA Times. So you'd look in ads that were for sale, and he was looking at foreclosures, and he found this lot. So he says, "Get up, meet me at this location on Cielo Drive." And blah, blah. I'm saying, "Dad," it said, "let me guess, the lot, it says 40K." And he goes, "Yes." I said, "It's a misprint. There's no such thing as a lot in Beverly Hills for $40,000, not even in 1998.
Yeah.
There wasn't such a thing. You want to go back to maybe 1978. Yeah, 1978.
Oh, no, that's even pushing it.
1968.
Maybe the 60s, yeah.
1968, $40,000 for a lot. Yeah, that's right. But with inflation and all, I said, "You got," so he says, it's a foreclosure. It's like, and I realized I'm already awake. And I'm not going to get him off the phone, and I'm going to kill myself. It turns out I would kill myself if I don't do that, because I wouldn't be here now, and this whole thing wouldn't be happening right now, our conversation. So I ended up getting up, grabbed my two dogs, Stella and Sebastian, and we drove up here. And in the time, you didn't have GPS. You had something called a Thomas Guide, a book that you literally, a map book and a guide to how to get. So I'm not even thinking about Sharon Tate. Sammy, I'm doing a show. Stop it. Because I'm doing a show. Thank you. It's my black cat, Samantha. So I get up here and I look down the driveway from where I am, and I'm like getting like all these flash images. And I'm like, oh my God, that's where the Tate house. And I was saying stood because there's nothing there. It's like it's pavement, and then it just stops. Like about from where I'm standing to down the street was probably about 125, 145, 150 feet. It's like you see pavement, and then it just drops.
Yeah, because the house was demolished by that point, right?
By 1998, the house was already torn down, and they were always constructing a new house. And I'm like, look at this. And it's like you can just see the dirt, and it's just gravel. And then there's this big gate and a fence. And I'm like, wow, look at that. And I'm like, oh my God, that's for the Tate. I'm like, oh, no way, no can do. And it's like, I used to try to find this street, which the funny thing is there's only 1, 2, 3 streets that are offshoot streets off of Cielo proper. And I couldn't find this street in my life to save my soul as when I was in my 20s. I couldn't find it. I don't know how I couldn't, but I never could find it. So I ended up sitting there looking, saying, that's where I haven't been here in like 20 years, since high school, because we used to come here in high school. Well, less than 20 years at the time, like 15 years, 17 years since high school. And I said, that's where the Tate house was. And my dad drives up, and I'm like, and I'm just getting a flood of memories, and it's just like feeling really like weird, like it's very, thank you, deja vu all over again. And I'm like, oh yeah. And I remember going up to the gate that was there in 78 when I was a junior, like a freshman in high school. And we used to go to the gate to look at the place, but you could only see where the chain link fence was, and you could see inside and where the stone wall, and then inside, and that's it. You could just see the driveway in. And I was like, because we had all read Helter Skelter, of course. And you're there, and you're going, this is all where, and then you look to your right, and you go, that's where they went around the fence and came down. It's like, and there's the telephone pole. But at this time, they had already taken the telephone pole down from the right side, and they moved it to the left side. So in 78, no, it was still there in 78. Yeah. So telephone pole was there, and the wooden fence that was next to it, next to the chain link fence, and it said, I'll never forget, Helter Skelter in blood and red paint. And it was like, and there was also like newspapers, lots and lots of newspapers that had been weathered and worn, and that were like wet, and then it dried to the bottom of the chain link fence that was stuck to the ground. Like they hadn't been moved in months. And it was just like a weird experience. So it was like, oh my God. So we bought the lot in 99. My cat Arthur died in February of 99, and we buried him on the side of the hill. And I was doing that as a statement to the land and honoring the memory of Arthur, to be buried here, that this is my land. I'm not burying him for happenstance. I'm burying basically to say this is my land. Kind of like consecrating the land with the interment of my first cat ever, Arthur. And when we were burying him, I was there with my friend Sean. I kept on feeling like we weren't alone. Like there was Sean, myself, and a group of people around us. And I felt comforted. I don't even know. It was an inexplicable feeling. And I said to Sean after we buried him, I said, Sean, I had this strange feeling like we weren't alone. Like there was a whole group of pallbearers around us and mourners. And I said, I felt buoyed. Like I felt a sense of, comfort. And he goes, David, and he said, David, I didn't want to say something to you because it was your moment, but I felt the same exact thing.
Wow.
And I was like, so at that moment, I just knew there was a connection that everything that had happened between seeing the lot and buying the lot and everything was supposed to be. It felt like this. Just like it fit, like a lock and key.
Mm-hmm.
And then once we started building the house, it was like somebody coming, like you just had this feeling like you weren't alone. Like somebody's coming up behind you and going to tap you on the shoulder and you're going to go, yeah, what? There was no one ever there. And then the laborers that were 5 guys from San Salvador, they were having their own issues going on during the construction. Like tools were going from were being moved from one room to another. And during the construction, right before we were done with the rough contractors, I asked the guys, we were all standing here at this dining room, where now is the dining room. I said, have you guys any weird experiences? Because you guys are basically off the job. We're now going to the finished contractor side, which is putting in the granite and the electrical fixtures and the fine fixtures and stuff. And we're, done with the rough contractors. So I said, I'm just curious. I said, you've been working in the house for the past 2+ years. I said, one guy goes, yeah, I had a strange experience 6 months ago in July. I said, yeah, like what? He goes, I'm down on the 3rd floor working by myself, and it's about 6:00 and it's about 90 degrees, and I'm down there working, and I hear voices and footsteps coming from the top floor. Now, at the time, the stairwell was all open at the bottom as it is at the top. It was just 8 feet by 8 feet by 35 feet straight down. And at the landing, it just opened up into the 12-foot ceiling opening into the theater room. So he's there working and he comes upstairs. He says, I look on the top floor. He goes, there's not a soul here. He goes outside. He says, there's not a car here. And I said, crap, I've been here at 7:00 in the summertime. It's hot as hell and everybody's gone. No one comes home until at least 7:30, 8:00. He goes, yeah, that's what I mean. It's empty. It's like,
yeah.
So he goes back downstairs. He starts working on the 3rd floor. And 5 minutes later, again, voices and footsteps coming from the top floor. So he hauls ass up here and goes looking around. He says, there's nothing here. And he's getting tripped out. So he goes back downstairs and starts packing his bags. He now hears the sound of footsteps, leather-soled shoes on the wooden treads going down the spiral staircase. He says they're getting louder and louder and louder and louder till they got to the bottom of the landing. And he's in the room that's adjacent to the theater room, which is now the theater room. He comes out and he rushes himself to the bottom of the landing. He goes, there's no one there. He goes, and then it happens. I said, what happens? He goes, it feels like somebody's dragging a 2-inch wide band of ice across the back of his neck, below his hairline, above the shoulder blades, and it's just slowly being dragged across the back of his neck. He says all of a sudden he feels his body gets totally erect and frozen. And he says the hairs on his whole arms and his legs just are straight up. And he screams, a dos míos, llame boy, which means, translated from Spanish, oh my God, I'm leaving. And he didn't come back for 6 weeks.
Oh, wow.
And then when he did come back, I said, So he tells me, I said, so why did you come back? He goes, because I didn't get paid for the prior 3 weeks. He goes, but after that, he goes, I learned my lesson. He goes, I was never the last person to ever be on the job site. He goes, at 5 o'clock, if somebody says, well, I'm out. He goes, I took off. I never would be left in that house for a second alone. I was terrified of it.
Yeah.
And then get this, about 2 years later, I think it was in 2004, 2005, I'm in the bedroom sitting there. It's 8 in the morning. I'm like waking up and I'm looking up at the ceiling. And it's like, all right, I got to go. Got to get up. Come on. And as I stare at the ceiling, I hear the sound of footsteps trailing from the balcony across the ceiling, which is this top floor, towards the kitchen. And I look up and I look at the freaking alarm. The alarm's set, and it says, whatchamacallit, it's got the motion sensors and the door sensors. So if somebody's walking through the house, it's going to pick up the infrared, the motion. Yeah. And the doors and the front doors are locked and the dead bolted, etc. So I just like sat there and I said, oh my God, I can hear 1, 2, 3. And you can hear the footsteps walking across the floor towards the kitchen. I'm going, holy shit. I don't believe it. And I sat there for an hour in bed going, I got to get the courage up to go upstairs. I said, well, the alarm's on. We know the alarm's on. The alarm's not, can't lie. I said, it's 9 o'clock. But so I go upstairs and I look. Door is locked on the outside, the balcony. The front door is locked with a deadbolt. The garage door is locked. The sensors haven't gone off. The alarm is totally set.
Yeah.
About a year later, I'm in the theater room with a date watching White Chicks. And all of a sudden, in the middle of the movie, I hear somebody talking coming from upstairs. And I'm like, I said, hold on. So I go and I pause the movie and I go into the guest bedroom, pick up the telephone. I go, hello, dial tone. I'm like, well, that's batshit crazy. That's the home line. So I grab my cell and I call the cell phone to the home line, and I then hear ring, ring. And I'm like, I don't remember hearing the ring, ring before I heard the man talking. And I can hear the ring, ring on this phone, and I sure as hell would have heard it in that room, and that's the landline to the house. I'm like, so I go into the room, I said, my data said, I'll be right back. And I go upstairs and I go through the entire house. I go to the answering machine on this floor, no calls, except the last call on the cell phone, no messages on the answering machine. I go back downstairs. I looked at all the windows were shut because it was 60 some odd degrees outside. So all the windows and doors were shut. The front door was locked. I can't figure it out. I go down to my data. I said, I got a question for you. I said, what did you hear? And she goes, what do you mean, what did I hear? I heard what you heard. And I'm like, no. I said, what did you hear? Can you describe? She goes, okay, I'll describe it. Since it was a guy, Caucasian, late 20s, early 30s, didn't have an accent. I don't know. It just sounded like a dude talking to somebody, having a conversation. I said, that's what I heard. And she goes, what do you mean? She goes, well, did you hear the telephone ring when I just called the phone ring just about 5 minutes ago? And she goes, yeah. I said, what the flying? Are you serious? What are the freaking odds? I don't need to answer this, do I? Jesus, hold on.
He still has a landline.
Yeah, I do have a landline. Very funny. I'm on the podcast.
At work, we talk people out of getting them.
Do you believe that? He has impeccable timing, doesn't he?
Exactly.
I haven't heard a landline ring in so many years.
Oh my God. Jesus Christ. I'm getting a ball raised here.
I was like, today at work, we talked something from their landline to a mobile phone. We talked about it.
Shut up. That's not funny. You're being part of the show now. You want me to put you on speakerphone? Jesus Christ. What's up? Go. You're not on the speakerphone. I might need you to pick up a water heater and bring it here from Houston. Yeah, no shit. How do you think? I don't feel happy about saying that either. I don't know if you can. I don't even think you have room for a 75-gallon water heater, do you? You have a truck? That's one of the things. Oh, great. Then forget that. All right, fine. Let's just talk. Let me call you when I'm off.
Forget we're here.
Time to talk. Okay, I'll call you right back. I'll call you back when I'm off the show. He hung up.
I have to go get a phone. I need to go get a landline. That's awesome. I think I had that exact phone growing up.
And where do I live? Before you have Wi-Fi cell phone service, I live in the hills. You couldn't get cell phone service up
Yeah,
here.
you couldn't. You had to have a landline.
And I live in a haunted house, which makes it a little complicated,
Until you get the call that says it's coming from inside the house.
Inside.
Real quick.
Our friend Blake. Yes, talk about Blake.
That's hysterical. The calls are coming from inside the house. On what, a landline? We don't have a landline. What are we going to do? Oh, my God. Is that tracked with your goddamn cell phones tracking it to this GPS? Okay, that's different then. No, that's funny. That's very funny, yes.
So Blake joined us real quick with a comment.
I remember listening to a podcast where Sharon Tate encountered the ghost of Paul Byrne. Yes. That is Jay Sebring. Yes. Yes, that's true. Yes, that's a true story. The narrative goes, Sharon was interviewed in 1967, I do believe it was, on one of the sets of one of the movies.
I've heard of that interview.
And the interview goes that Sharon was living with Jay, who lived in Paul Byrne and Jean Harlow's old house up the street on Easton Drive. And she said that she woke up in the middle of the night and saw a short naked man, rifling through the roll-top desk that was the original desk, which was, when I think of things when I buy a freaking house, I don't think of the asshole or the person who died's furniture still being in the freaking house so many years after that person died, famously, as Paul Byrne did. But apparently the furnishings from Paul Byrne and the Jean Harlow's house was left in the house and still remained in the house to the late 60s, some 30 some odd years after Paul had died.
It's very common. It still happens today.
Well, my parents were in the real estate business and were realtors, and I'd never seen anything like that because most of the time it was hauled ass out because when people move in, they want to bring in their own furniture. They don't want whose shit is this? No offense, but like I said, so she says the roll top desk was pulled up. He was rifling through the papers. He stopped, he turned and he looked, and his eyes met hers. He then turned back and kept going as if he was just looking for something in the desk. She gets up, gets out of bed, walks out the door, walks down the hallway, goes to the top of the banister and looks down the staircase. At the bottom of the staircase, tied to the banister, she sees a woman whose throat is slit ear to ear. And she's a blonde-haired woman. She doesn't see her face in particular, but this is where it gets strange. She walks down the staircase around the apparition. So she sees the apparition from the top of the staircase. It doesn't freak her out enough. I'm sorry, Sharon. I got to ask the question because to me, it's who the hell's got the balls to go, oh, yeah, there's an apparition of a dead chick at the bottom of the staircase. I'm going to trot my ass down there to take a look at this. But she does, and she walks around the apparition, she says, goes into the bar, fixes herself a drink, and then sits down at the bar, and then the seat right next to the bar, next where the bar curves around to the wall, she starts picking away at the wallpaper and picks a nice little section of the wallpaper off, about a good 2-inch by 2-inch section of the wallpaper out of nervousness because she doesn't know how to deal with it. As she's taking the drink to deal with it. Then she goes back.
I would have made myself a drink too.
Then she goes back upstairs. The apparition, of course, is now gone. And Paul Byrne's apparition is gone. And she goes back to bed. The following morning, Jay comes back from working late at the studio doing hair jobs on different people on a feature film and wakes Sharon up and says, honey, I got out. He goes, what gives? And she goes, what do you mean, what gives? He takes her downstairs to the bar and points out the 2-inch by 2-inch section of wallpaper that she had previously picked apart the night before.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, she then realizes it was no dream. It all, unfortunately, really all happened.
Oh, wow.
And people have assumed that that was a premonition of her impending death.
Mm-hmm.
There's only one problem. It's not that the problem, it's that it's symbolic of her dying, but it's not, again, I don't get it. I don't know if that connection makes sense, that she saw the apparition of the girl whose throat was slit, because her throat was never slit.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've seen the actual photographs of the LAPD crime scene from
Yeah.
years ago, and what it was multiple 19 stab wounds and then multiple lacerations. And I mean, so that if you had both of your arms up like this, you had defensive slashes from here going, then continuing to here, multiple, like she was like trying to ward off the slashings of defensive slash wounds, and multiple slashes to her body as well, than just stab wounds, which they designate as completely different. A stab is a penetrating wound that goes in this way. A defensive wound would be like this. A slash is a slash. It's not the same. It's it's just horrible.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So one question that I brought up or wanted to bring up is, a lot of stories are out there about your home. What is one misconception do you think people, okay, if you can only say one, I mean, no. I'm sure there's multiples.
I know the greatest and the biggest lie upon lies that has been perped about the house by Zach Baggins is the fact that he says, well, David Oman's house is built on native ceremonial burial grounds. And that's a big no-no.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, what the fuck? It's not built on native ceremonial burial grounds, because first, that would assume that the poor Native Americans were so limited in places to bury their dead that they were forced to use the sides of the hills to build cemeteries, which is completely a fabricated, nonsensical lie.
Yeah.
Period. That's not what it was. We know for a fact that when there have been, earth moving developments, where there's been developments by land, when they've built next to the freeway near the 405 and Sawtelle Boulevard and Olympic Boulevard a few years ago, they uncovered a Tongva. Again, Tongva is the tribe that was in this area and all throughout basically southern Los Angeles, was the Tongva tribe. And they were, had their burial sites were not on the side of the hills, but they had, uncovered a burial site there when they were expanding the freeway, and they stopped the freeway construction to get the archaeologists in there to uncover the remains. And there were some 400 people, individuals buried there, and it was a large area. And that's why I said, when he said this, I said, well, there's only one problem with that. The only time that they have found Native American remains in the area, and remember, the Native American Repatriation Act, which said if Native American remains were found on a construction site or on a dig site, the bones had to be removed with ceremony and then repatriated to a new location, which was in order with the tribe that those bones were associated with.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, the only time that had happened was in 1929, when ground was first broke for the Beverly Hills First Women's Club down on Benedict Canyon and Chevy Chase Drive. And they said that on the spot, they found the remains of 3 Native Americans from a battle from the early Californians and the Native Americans back in the mid 19th century. Turns out in 1842, there was a band of Native Americans, the tribe that was up in this canyon that was driven up by the Mexicans. They came down and started raiding upon the ranchero that was down on Alpine and Sunset. What happened is this time the ranch hands basically drove them off and had a running gun battle with the Native Americans that ended on that spot on Chevy Chase, what is now Chevy Chase and Benedict Canyon. And they killed them and shot them and buried them on the spot. Only 90 years later, they uncovered the bodies or the remains, and then the story was then corroborated. It was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
The story goes is Lisa Williams, the psychic, came here in 2006, 20 years ago now, after Ghost Hunters aired. And she said, she says she feels there's a presence of a Native American who died on horseback on the mound of earth under the house. And I was like, really? She goes, oh, yes, very much so. He told me that he when the horse were riding on the horse path, which is now the driveway, to get to the end of the street, which was this huge plateau that looked down upon the canyon. And she said it was very ceremonial. And it was like, I said, really? Yes. And during the construction time here and during the first 2 years of the house here, I had lots of psychics that were coming and visiting. And we all would go down to the Tate property. And one in particular, Al McCary, said, I feel there's Native American presence and energies here. There's this really strong energy here. They were here. And I'm like, yeah, all right, whatever. To come to find what the story of what happened a mile away from here at Benedict Canyon at the Beverly Hills First Women's Club that verifies and validates her story. I was like going, and then Lisa Williams telling me this, I'm going, Jesus, criminy sake, maybe there is some truth to what she's saying about the Native Americans and this Native American in the Mound of Earth, because it was just like that Mound of Earth felt strange in its own right. And we used to go down into that earthen wall room when it was really small. Literally, the landing was just 4 foot by 8 foot. And you'd stand there and you'd start to feel like you're rocking it back and forth in a boat for no reason. You go, because I feel seasick. He goes, yeah, I feel like I'm rocking back and forth. So let's get out of here. And it was like other people that would go in there would start feeling things and saying stuff like they're feeling this energy. And I'm like, holy moly in hell. So it's not one person. It's like, and again, I'm like this, not saying a word, because I figured if I know something and they don't, and Lisa Williams is not putting this up across the internet saying, hey, David's house sits on, let's see what happens. So each time somebody goes in, then they said, yeah, I feel Native American energy in here. And I'm like, oh, okay. So again, it's like there's a checklist. Okay, that's another one. And there's another, and there's another, and there's another, and there's another. After a while, it was like every son of a you-know-what that's coming through the house goes in that room and keeps saying the same thing. And again, this is early on, so there's not Facebook. There's not a social media. See, that's what people don't understand. Back then, there wasn't a lot of chit-chat. There weren't a lot of paranormal groups chittering and chattering and making all this the way it is today. And that's what was so unique. I'm thinking then we had different psychics that came through. Jackie Barrett, James Von Prague, who went in there and spent like 5 seconds in there. And he goes, I feel Native American energy in here. I'm getting the hell out of here. And left. And I'm like, that was fast, James. That was, other people that were psychics in other ways came in, and other people just I was going, this is nuts. So I finally told it to Zach Baggins, and he turns it into a goddamn cemetery. And I'm like, no, man. I said, one guy died by accident when his horse fell down the side of the hill, and both he and the horse both broke their necks as they fell down the side of the hill some 50 feet, and they were stopped by a tree. The remains were left there through the days, weeks, months, years, and they basically got interred into the earth, and the mudslides that occur in this area covered them and buried them into the hill. And that was it. One guy, I said. So that's the why that I'd love to have straightened out, because people go, man, you live on a Native American cemetery. It's like, Zach,
Well,
back
and
in 2015, right?
You know where they did their research then.
yeah, and it just goes to show like how impressionable people are, and how people have kind of lost the sense of, or the will or the want to find information on their own. And I think we need to get that back because it's so important. We can't just rely on, I'm sorry, my light is on a timer. That's why it just went off.
Sure it is.
It's on a timer. We need to get back into, yeah, it's, you know, it's okay to hear a story, and that's all fine and good. But I know with me, especially nowadays with social media, and I was talking with a friend earlier, and she's like, I've completely left social media because I can't tell what video is AI and what video is actually real. And it's really, really important that if you hear a story, go and do your research. Be old school. Go sit at a library. Go ask a librarian. There are ways to properly do your research on Google. If you don't want to go to a library, you can still use Google, but you need to make sure that your sources are legit. And it just shows like how quick people are. They want to believe so badly, and they're just so quick to latch onto a story. And then, like you said, it just gets blown out of proportion so quickly because nobody wants to take the time to literally do probably what, Heather, a 2-3 minute search on Google.
Yeah.
If that.
Yep.
Oh, I look, when Scott Michaels, who I've known for, 15, 16 years now, and I are doing Bridget Marquardt's podcast from here, and he started saying, well, David's house is built on native ceremonial burial grounds. And I have to look at him and saying, where the hell did you hear that? And Bridget's like, oh, no. And I'm like, he goes, Zach Baggins. I said, that's a lie. She bleeps it out. And I'm like, I said, but it's not true. I said, the house isn't. And that's when I realized that it's gotten into the zeitgeist of the story of the house. And I go, oh my God. I said, I've been Bagginsed. I mean, it's just the worst of the worst. And it's like on my credibility. I said, the house isn't built on ceremony. What the, oh my.
Yeah. Well, we're live and we don't edit. Yeah. So
well,
it's not going to get twisted.
And we're late enough. What you say doesn't, as far as bad words.
Well, you know what I'm saying? It's the truth. It was like,
that must have been a gut punch for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, it was, because you got to remember, perception is 99% of the issue into present day, meaning there are people out there that are going to take that for the gospel. And I literally mean the gospel.
And they do. And I
mean, literally, they're going to think that I am damned to where, and the house is, Satan's, I'm going to go. And it only takes one. It only takes one cockeyed SOB to make your life death or unalive you.
Yeah.
Because of the premise that the house is built, and he's, and he said some other things that were just obnoxious. Oh, David, poltergeist agent. It's like, yeah, sure there, Mr. Baggins. Got anything else you want to say about me that's any more BS? Because you couldn't stand to be in the house for more than 3 hours before you got summarily thrown out by the spirits. So, I mean, when somebody goes out of their way to lambaste the owner of a house, and apparently it's not the first time he's done this. Apparently he did this with Keith Linderman up in Seattle, and then of course with Bloody Mary in New Orleans, because they both reached out to me after this all happened. They said, yeah, they got the same treatment from him, that he was, that they were all FOS, and that he was, telling the truth. And they said they destroyed him. He tried to destroy their credibility. And I said, he only lasted 3 hours in the house of a 6-hour lockdown, and basically ran out because they were scared and they had enough, evidence, as he put it, and they didn't want any more. And then they got sick for 3 days. And I was like going, wow.
The spirits were protecting you.
Well, the spirits were.
Yeah.
I don't think that as much as the spirits were just pissed off at all the stuff that he cumulatively
Because they know
had done all along the way of his shows, that he had basically dissed people and dissed ghosts. He did it with Sharon, with this bloody pregnant spirit apparition walking up the driveway reenactment. And I said, that story doesn't fly, man. I said, it's great, sensational, but I don't believe a stitch of that story to be true. And they did it, and then all the shit hit the fan the next night during the investigation. And I was like, well, I told you it was going to be messy. You pissed the spirits off. Woo, woo, woo. I said, well, you did. You didn't heed the warnings, man. You pissed off.
It's so funny. It's so interesting because Heather, I don't know if this has happened to you, but there's been some locations I've been to where there's been some pretty amazing stories that go along with the location. And then we get in there and we get evidence, but we don't get scared, traumatized, chased out the way we hear other groups have had that happen to them. And honestly, I truly do believe it has to do with intent, because they know if you're going in there to fuck with them, they're going to fuck with you back. Bottom line.
Wait. No, there's a word for this. There's a big word. Where is this? Give me
I want his shirt.
I know, it's awesome.
I really want that shirt.
Harddaddy.com. That's where you get these, at Hard Daddy. Go to harddaddy.com. They have all these shirts, and look up ghost. Type in search for ghost, and you'll see. That's why.
That's awesome.
This is why.
I hope he's a better drawer than I am.
Respect. Yep.
That's
I have Aretha Franklin in my head now. Thank you.
It's not about intentions. It's about your respect for them, because you have respect. You're not there trying to exploit them, trying to make them look dumb.
Yeah.
Or trying to make them do parlor tricks.
And it's okay to go in and tell a story. That's perfectly fine. That's our job. That's our job.
The true story. But if you start to muddle up and start to play the conspiratorial, pathetic stories, don't expect any, fair weather friends from them. They'll just go to town on you, because it's you're disavowing their memory. And
yes.
People don't get it. It might not happen at the time. It might happen in a couple of days, a couple of weeks, but you'll get yours. Trust me. There's not one to sit there and say, "Oh, you're getting away with that shit."
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think with the books I've published, I have 7 of them now. With everyone that I've published, I've had at least one location contact me, or someone who's affiliated with the location, almost dissing me for uncovering the true story behind the location, because they share this fabricated story to make it scarier on these ghost tours. And then I do the research into their stories and prove it wrong and say, here's the real story. And they're not liking that, because they want to continue with the fake story.
Yeah. People don't like the truth, and ignorance is bliss sometimes.
Jeez. People don't like the truth. Surprise.
I know.
Entertainment is entertainment is entertainment. That's the big difference. It's not necessarily the truth. What was the deal saying? Is in doubt, tell the story and diss the truth. Because sometimes the story is always going to be more fascinating than the truth, is what they always say. Yeah. Because the truth can never be,
Yeah. Now, you, correct me if I'm wrong, you're the creator of House at the End of the Drive.
Guilty as charged, yes.
So how did you stay true to the story, but still make it interesting?
Because the whole idea for the movie was to venerate the victims with disengaging myself from the story. Meaning, look, in the correction, the story is the story is the story. We disengaged ourselves from the real story, in the sense that here's an example. You do a Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. You are stuck. And I don't believe in taking historical figures and doing an Abraham Lincoln Vampire Slayer or Inglourious Bastards, bastardization of history, because I think it's disingenuous type of a because it's disingenuous and it's also misleading. And what I mean by that is there's enough proof in past feature films. When you take historical figures and you mess with them in a way that portrays them as wholeheartedly inaccurate, you open yourself up to the problem that some people are going to believe it.
Yeah.
And in some cases, if you're really good at what you're doing, Abraham Lincoln Vampire Slayer, you weave the story in such a way that it's almost, now hear me out, it's almost plausible. And what I'm saying to you is the way that they created the story is it happens in a time period where no one really knows much about Abraham Lincoln's youth. So you're able to, to capitalize on that which people know a little bit about. You've heard the name of Speed and this and that, his friend Speed and stuff. So you then can basically do something that a lot of people will watch and actually believe because they're vampire nuts or enthusiasts. I'm sorry. Sorry.
Yeah.
I
have the book, and what helped with that is he actually has doctored photos from the 1800s that show these vampires with, resembling, and it talks about Abraham, he was having a meeting with one of the generals and his axe that he used was sitting outside and they photoshopped an axe in there. And the photos make it look like it really, really happened.
But again, the problem is in years gone, in generations past, no one would have to explain this shit. But then again, in generations past, there wouldn't be a Tide Pod type of a craze either. You see what I'm saying? You're dealing in a whole.
I love it.
Anything is possible in this present day and age. But 50 years ago, people had brains enough to see the difference between cracked and reality. That's not the case anymore. That's why people could believe the conspiratorial theorists that come up with these things about the CIA was involved with the Sharon Tate murders. And I go, oh shit, no.
They weren't? No.
Yes, the world is not flat, by the way. Just so you know you're not going to fall off the edge.
Send hate mail to Heather at, no.
My point was that the story that I made was basically, in honor of Sharon, Jay, Wojciech, Abigail, and Stephen. And I didn't want to tarnish their memories because to me, they got, at the time when I wrote the screenplay and with the help of Sharon's spirit, giving me vignettes of the story as I was, basically writing them down as I'm walking around doing things, I'd stop and I'd see a vignette play out like a 10-second movie clip in my mind's eye and going, okay, I got to go back in the house and write this down. The first one being when I was walking down the street in front of this huge old growth holly oak tree down the street, probably about 100 feet down from where I am right now. I saw this vision of a guy driving up the driveway in a convertible Mustang. He was passing the second house. And as he was driving by it, he turned and he looked. No, he turned this. He turned to his left. He looked and he saw this girl dressed to the nines in 60s attire. She was wearing a band. I'll never forget. She was wearing a bandana, long blondish brown hair, really light blonde hair. Light brown hair. Sorry, not light blondish brown. Yeah, all right, fine. Stop giving me the. Am I telling the freaking story? You telling the story? Fine, let me tell it then.
If they want to tell it, they got to speak up. We can't hear them.
Yeah. You want to chew my ear out, or you want to talk to them? Be my guest. Choose A or B, and ring the bell if you don't like what I'm saying.
Ding.
So I look at her and I'm like, going, what? And she's in jeans. She's wearing this white cotton blousey type of a shirt that's got embroidery on it that they used to have in the 60s from Tijuana. They were these embroidered shirts, 60s and 70s, and they were beautiful. And they were like open cut neck like this. And she's got these bell bottoms. I'm looking and going, what the hell? I said, God, she's gorgeous. And I remember I'm still driving at the time. And I'm driving on. And then I turned to my right and I was like, holy shit, I'm about to go careening off the gut. So I turned the steering wheel like this. And the camera then cuts to the side shot. And it's showing the side of my face as it's panning up. and then it's drifting into the rearview mirror, showing you there's nothing there. And I was like, what the? That was cracked. That was cracked. That was nuts. I see myself driving up in a 64 convertible Mustang, cool car, got it. But what the hell? And so I was like, I was told to write this down, that it's a gift. And I'm like, so I write down all these paragraphs through the next 4 or 5 months. And I've got like 30 or 40 like paragraphs. And I've got like 4 or 5 paragraphs per page. And they're vignettes, different scenes that are all like just out of order. And I'm like, I called a friend of mine up whose name is Jim. And I said, Jim, I said, you're a screenwriter. I said, can you come over? I said, I got a question for you. And he goes, no, yeah, if I'm coming over, he said, you're gonna have to make dinner for me because my time isn't cheap. And I'm like, all right, I'll make you a free meal if you come over and help me out and give me an idea of what the hell I'm dealing with. So he comes over and he looks at these pages and he goes, you're not a screenwriter. I said, no, not at all. He goes, well, what you've got here are scenes that are all out of order. I said, yeah. He goes, what we need to do is we need to cut these paragraphs out and put them as separate paragraphs and kind of like figure out a storyline, because this is a story, but it's all like example, Pulp Fiction. Pulp Fiction is completely disorganized and discombobulated. It goes from one scene, but you never know till you get to the very end that it's all a through line of different scenes happening on the same timeline.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, he says, it's kind of like that. So he says, we've got to sit down and go through the scenes and make sense of them, put them in an order, and then he said, transition shots and transition scenes from one to the other so that, there's a through point. I said, what do you mean? He goes, it's like a giant jigsaw puzzle.
Yeah. If anybody's ever worked with a screenplay, like it's completely different from writing a novel or even nonfiction. It's a completely different animal. And I tried to do it a couple of times and I just can't.
I actually took a screenwriting class after this experience.
Did you really? Yeah.
And it's like, it explained it in a certain way, but it's like what I did was not, I know that they say there's differences and I understand there's differences, but there's a certain idea that when you take a story, you take the story and you convert it into a screenplay, meaning in a screenplay, it's notations of action, location for the camera, and then dialogue. In a book, it's everything that you have in the book that you have to take apart and basically translate into a screenplay form. That's not what this is. This is scenes that are making up the story that will then turn into the screenplay. So I'm sitting there saying, and he goes, it's a story, but this is the story as your screenplay. It's like, when he goes, because there's no dialogue in these scenes, we have to add the dialogue, but you've got the makings of the framework of a story. And it's like, so we put it together and we made this House at the End of the Drive. Your audience, there you go, kids. It's where they died. And it was basically, as it turned out, to be half fact and half fantasy. And what I mean is the factual parts of the movie are in such a way that that there's in the movie, we have a Sharon Tate character who's an up-and-coming film star. So that's the one that There's instead of the hairdresser to the stars, there's the costume designer to the stars, which is Jay Sebring. Instead of the heiress to the coffee empire, there's the heiress to the Windsong restaurant chain. That's like a McDonald's type of thing, or like at the time it would have been close to like a Denny's type of thing, where she was that was her. And then we put in Roman Polanski as the fourth and final victim of the night. So we removed Wojtek Wajkowski and Stephen Parent's characters from reality, but we put instead Roman Polanski. So, but we kept the truth. So instead of 5 people killed and one of them being pregnant, there's 4 people being killed. In the murders, there are 3 females and a male, just like the real murders, except our male is not a Tex Watson character. He's a Charles Manson character, with the proviso that his motivation for wanting these murders to go down has nothing to do with race riots, and he doesn't have a group beyond the 3 girls as his compadres. And his motivation is totally nothing to do with what Manson was about, anything to do with it. So we've taken the characters and we've mimicked the factual people, but we did not want to make it about Manson because, again, once you start doing that, you take away from the murdered victims and you bring more attention back to Manson. So we changed that whole, so we kind of like, for lack of better words, we defanged the Manson character in the movie so that it's not, you're not thinking about looking into Manson as the character in his motivation. And in that way, we also included stuff that happened in my real life, where the creepy crawl happened at my parents' house when I was a kid in 1970 or 71. And we actually have the actual door in the movie, which the Manson family popped the lock to get in the house with, in the kitchen of my parents' house where it all went down.
Wow.
And of course, like I said, we also shot on location up here at the house and on the driveway during the scenes that we were shooting, a lot of it, so that it holds true to a lot of the facts of what's been going on here after the murders, meaning we've had some scenes that are definitely related to the facts of people coming up here and looking around and snooping around trying to see inside the gate. Some of the stuff that's happened here in the house with the paranormal activity is reflected in the film, so that it's a nice blending of fact and fantasy, and again, more importantly, it's an original story, not some old movie that's being remade or a TV show or a Marvel comic book or a DC comic book come to life. It ain't any of that stuff. That's what I really am most proud of.
Let me ask you, how did you know it was Sharon in your house? Like, what solidified that for you?
Well, obviously that was early on. There would be always, I attributed a lot to Sharon, and obviously I saw Jay Sebring's apparition once, 22 years ago in July in 2004. But, like I said, when she said it's Sharon, it's like, okay, I know, I fine, and I don't believe that spirits have any need to lie. As I say, when you die, you leave your skeleton, your flesh, and most importantly, your ego behind. And lying is a function of ego. Only the ego part of the brain is the lying part of the brain. It's not the id, and it's not the was it the superego, the ego, the id, it's like I said, it's the part of the brain that we controls our desire to lie is the ego. So like I said, I took it, but I mean, I've seen other things here in the house that have nothing to do with them, and have actually recorded a EVP, or really a disembodied voice in Spanish that was directly connected to a woman who was here, who was her father, who had passed away some 4 or 5 years earlier from cancer, and she had not been able to go on with her life. So she goes, that was my dad. It's like, she goes, yeah, I haven't been able to go on with my life since he passed away. And I got the picture because he wants me to go on, because he said the recording of on the audio was, let it go, mija. And she said, that's my dad. I said, what? She goes, that was my dad, by the way, because that was his voice.
Oh, wow.
So nothing to do with Sharon Tate, which goes back to the story that, she comes by and visits, but
you don't believe she's stuck?
Oh, no, stuck.
Okay. I think that's what a lot of people believe, though. I think they believe that their souls are trapped in your house. They can't leave. Yeah, so.
It's because he's containing them there.
Yeah.
Let me just be clear about something. More, as I like to call it, ego speak. Humans want to have an answer for everything and want to be on top of everything. And that's why I might digress. Let me just say it. The reason why aliens exist, but we don't know anything about them, is because they're so far well advanced of us. They want nothing to do with us. They're not bridging any communications with us.
They're there. They're just cloaked.
They're there. They don't give a fuck. It's like a human being talking to an amoeba. The analogy being the human being is the goddamn alien. We're the freaking amoeba. That's the distance in space and time and in intellectual capacity that is between an amoeba and an alien and a human. It's that big of a distance between an alien and a human. The alien's the amoeba, and this alien is a human. There is no interest in it. The idea that the government's afraid to tell you the truth, because if you knew the truth, that the government has no fucking idea what is going on there, people will have, as I call it, a what was it again? Mars, the attack of Mars, the 1939 Mars attacks by
War of the Worlds.
You have the response of War of the Worlds times 1 billion, because, as they said, a person is you can deal with. People in mass you can't.
Yeah,
and that's the problem. Especially now, the government is like going, we have no freaking clue what these things are. We can't tell you because it's so far well advanced, and they cannot admit this, because once they admit that, the public goes, oh shit, why am I listening to you when you don't have the knowledge of what the hell's going on? And it puts everything to complete chaos, and everything falls apart. And that's the problem with why they can't admit it. And it was like, oh, the ancient aliens. I said, let's get this straight. I saw something yesterday about the Antikythera mechanism and how humans couldn't have done this. It's like, you're so sick and so pathetic that humans couldn't have designed these things. And they couldn't have built the pyramids, and they couldn't have done this and this. It had to be ancient aliens. Let me tell you, ancient aliens would have made it out of goddamn metal. It wouldn't have been made out of stone. And that's what's so stupid. It's like, yeah, they're so technologically advanced. They're working in stone. Okay, yes, of course, because everything knows that stone is the material that ancient aliens will be working in. I don't know where these people come up with it. It's like they're halfway there, but they fall off the edge of the gosh darn flat earth at the same time saying this and going, yeah, that's it. There you go. The ancient aliens are responsible.
So you kind of just answered my next question I was going to ask, because your house seems to be a hotbed of paranormal activity. Have you had any UFO or cryptid encounters? But I think you just kind of answered that question.
No cryptid. I have seen wildlife up here that has blown my freaking mind. And what I mean is I was on this balcony 60 feet or 55 feet above, looking down on what I thought was a fox, except it wasn't a fox. And I looked it up, and what it said was it was a certain type of fox. And I was like, well, that was it. But that doesn't even live in the gosh darn states in this territory. What the hell was that thing? It wasn't a coyote. And it was so brilliantly colored, and it was on 4 legs. And I was looking, going, I said, where the hell's my camera? I should have taken pictures of it. And instead I started yelling at it, and it ran through up the hill through the neighbor's backyard. I was like, what the?
It's because you have a landline. You don't carry a cell phone on you to take a photo.
Okay, Ms. Smarty Pants. You're like a teacher without a class. I mean,
exactly.
No class. Jesus, summertime came fast for you, huh? Okay. I'm so glad to hear it. My God. No, cryptids, no. Spirits, yeah, we've got stuff happens here all the time. I mean, I got 30 cameras throughout the house and outside, recording 24/7. So I used to watch the cameras, and then I said, I can't deal with this. I'm staying up to 6 a.m. watching footage from the night before. I'm not even sleeping. I can't deal with this. So when something happens, I write down the time, and then I go review the footage to see what I can, get. And the getting is good here at this house. I'm telling you,
And the cameras didn't pick up the creature outside?
Who?
The little creature you were just talking about, the fox.
No. Yeah, no. This was underneath the house. It was on the side of the house, right down below at the bottom, and I didn't have the camera set up there. But that's my new puppy making sounds. I'm talking about the creature. I'm thinking to myself, was that sound? Oh, it's the dog. She's sleeping on the. She's a snorer too. She's a typical Ridgeback. They snore and they take up the entire bed. I'm like, wake up. Like, all right, get that paw out of my mouth. Do you mind? You got the whole rest of the bed. She's such a puppy, but no, like I said, I wish I would have, because it was beautifully colored. I was thinking, I'm looking at going, what the hell is that? It was not red. It was a brilliant kind of, it wasn't copper red. It had a, as I recall, it had a reddish brown, it's like of a body, and it was very, very bright, like a coyote that just blends into the territory. It stood out like a sore thumb, and its legs, it looked to be about two and a half, maybe 2 feet to 2.5 feet at the shoulder. It was not small. It wasn't like this. It was like this. It was a good size, and I was going, and I'm looking straight down at it, and it had a snout like a fox, but it didn't look like a fox. It just didn't look. It looked different. I was saying, that's not a coyote. I said, the hell is that thing? And I said, coyote, 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 coyote. And he looked up and was like this. And I was like, what the hell is who's yelling at me? And he ran off. I'm going, that was crazy. Never seen anything like that. And we have parrots up here and ravens and skunks and, the coyotes, the rabbits, the deer, the mule deer, but no cryptids or anything like that I've seen. And big owls and big hawks that literally sit on the porch, sit there and like, I'm going, oh my God. And they're like this, they're like a good 2 feet. And I'm like, holy shit. He looks at me, ah! I go, and he flies off. And you see his big wings go, I'm going, wow. But no cryptids, not that I've seen. Other people have seen strange things like apparitions, a ghost wolf dog a week and a half ago. Some friends of mine were leaving the house around 1 a.m, and they said they got down the driveway and out of thin air in the middle of the street, they saw this wolf dog appear and jump across the street and then right into the wall. I said, what? Yeah, it went like it physically went through into the wall. I said, no way. I said, I have never heard that. Oh yeah, we also have a bobcat and a mountain lion that roam the area as well. But
definitely don't want to be outside your house at night.
no, you don't. The coyotes are out here. You can hear them howling.
There's stuff in the LA hills. There's
wildlife. I love it. I love the wildlife. But I have a smart thing called, what's that word called? Yes, that's right. I have that. You got that, then you got more than most people, because most people are like, I'm going to tempt fate. It's like, I'm not stupid. I respect them. And when I see or hear them, I get the fuck out of the way.
After today's show, we're going to have a word of the day every show. I like that.
Oh, God.
Today's word is respect.
You don't say it. You just hold it. You think, and you can't say it. You got to hold it up.
Right. Yep.
Have you ever spoken to any members of Sharon Tate's family or any of the murder victims?
Well, I know that, let's be honest, I've had Sharon Tate's mom's personal psychic here years ago, like 20 some odd years ago. Brian Edward Hurst. Still remember his name. Shit. And I don't remember a lot of my friends that I've met through the years, but I remember this guy. I met him one freaking night. An English psychic. He was here, I think it was in 2004. And he had said, it'd been, I remember he says, it'd be great if you could have had Deborah or no, not Deborah. He says, what's her face? Doris and Patty come over. I said, why is that? He goes, because they're very much intrigued by the paranormal. I work for them, to talk to Sharon. He goes, but Deborah, who's the only one who's left, doesn't want to have a thing to do with the paranormal. She thinks it's all hogwash. And a friend of mine who was a famous psychic, and she also was an artist who did soul portrait artistry work, who passed away, reached out to Deborah, and Deborah said, absolutely positively not. I don't believe in the paranormal. I would never go up there. I don't buy that at all. I don't, she goes, you should have reached out to my sister and my mother before they died. And the closest thing that I could person to the actual crimes that has actually been here is one Diane Lake, Snake from the Manson family. She was here about, this is 2026, about 7.5 years ago. She came to visit with my prospective publisher, who had done a few books, who'd done a book by Diane, called Member of the Family.
Mhm.
And another book about the trial, the diary of the foreman from the trial of that case. And we had a falling out after that, but Diane came to the house and I thought the place was going to go bonkers. And apparently I found that the spirits were very, very happy to see her because she's one of the few that turned state's evidence from inside the family against the family in the case.
Yeah.
Yep.
So there was a bunch of appreciation there, let's just say, from the spirits that she was afforded, to say the least.
Mhm.
I'm sorry, I'm scrolling through my questions here real quick. Okay. So I know you have a lot of people that have come visit your home and do investigations and random things in your home. Has anyone ever reported back to you that something from your home might have followed them home?
No, we don't live in a land where we don't live in the world of Disney. Let's put it that way.
Right.
Real life, we don't live in the world of the Haunted Mansion at Disneyland in particular.
Ghosts don't go with you?
I don't know how to answer that without being flippant, so I'm not going to go Paul in and think, honey, you got your head up your ass, or no. It's really making me wonder what the hell you're talking about. Ghosts don't follow shit. They do what they want to do, and last I checked, ghosts are telling us, why the hell do people again go to a place of egocentricity where the universe revolves around me and I'm the only fucking one in it, and you're going to follow me because I'm golden? It's not the way it works. Ghosts don't give a rat's ass about you. If here's all right, I'll rephrase that. Ghosts that are not familiar with you to begin with are not looking for you as a home to stay home warm with. Meaning, yes, I believe ghosts are with each and every one of us. We have our own cadre of spirits that are around us. Mm-hmm. Those that are close to us, friends, relatives, people from past lives, whatever. Those are who basically, and for lack of better word and comprehension for your audience, let's just say that those are assigned ghosts. Mm-hmm. Those that are the ghosts that are assigned to you are the ghosts that are assigned to you to the day you die, period. Again, don't take this for gospel. Just listen to what I'm trying to say to you guys before you start upsetting yourselves. I'm talking to your audience, that is. Meaning that you don't go to a place and a ghost goes, oh, look at him. Oh, he's so nice and plump and juicy. I mean, you got to start remembering, ghosts aren't looking at you like your prey and your quarry, like, I'm going to hop onto his back and see what he's got going on in his life. Yeah, let's go down the path and find out what life's like with his putz. No. Not every ghost that's in a location is not with somebody else. They're just on a vacation, like the spirits that pop in here. They pop in here and going on their way. They don't stay here and habituate here. I don't have like room service for Mrs. Tate. What? You want me to get you? Okay, yes, I'll get you some scrambled eggs and toast. Light on the rye. Okay, thank you very much. Orange juice, yes. Fresh squeezed, yes. It doesn't work like that. Mm-hmm. Spirits are sometimes still where they are because they want to hang out in a familiar place when they were alive. Whether or not that place still exists in the physical realm is secondary because the spirits live on their own realm of existence, where their perceptions of what is actually here is not necessarily what we see with our eyes.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And the idea that a spirit is like lonely and wants to gravitate to you, that's just, they're not lost puppy dogs looking for love, okay? They're not like, I need somebody to love me. And furthermore, that also goes for things that are called possessed items. Like, you see this knife? This butter knife was owned by Curly Howard. Really, this was his favorite butter knife. He still loves it so much that in the afterlife, he's still clinging to this. Mm-hmm. Are you freaking nuts? Come on. That's like saying Mae West's favorite vibrator or dildo is haunted. It's not. That's not how it works. Ghosts are not like hermit crabs. Like, I got to find this vessel to get myself inside of it and live and exist in this vessel because I won't feel complete. The last freaking thing a spirit wants to goddamn associate with is anything on a physical level for one simple reason. Mm-hmm. It can be destroyed. It can be hurt. It can be damaged. It can feel pain. Spirits are the last thing a spirit wants to resonate in its existence is a repetitious reminder of that which it had when it was alive, meaning physical pain. It doesn't have an association with the desire to want to go, yeah, I'm a sadomasochist in death. And now that I'm a ghost, I want to get into some person that's being tortured to death so I can feel that exhilaration of pain. That's not how it works. That's the last thing a ghost wants to do is get into a body and I'm going to possess that body and get in there and feel good again. It doesn't work. It doesn't make sense. And again, remove the human egocentric point of view and put yourself in the spirit's place and then say, how does it all work from their position? And then you start to understand that all the mythology that we've created is just bunk nonsense to make us all as human beings feel good about our situation in life and the things we can't explain, and then have explanations for things that are happening in the hereafter because it makes us feel good, but it has no basis in reality.
Yep.
And that's what I try to explain to people. It's not like ghosts are rattling chains. God, in the 24 years I've lived here, I've yet to see a ghost rattle a chain and make a like goddamn Christmas carol. That's great. For Jacob Marley. Sorry, Bob. Yep. Wrong Marley. Didn't mean to do it, man. No problem, man. Cheers, man. Rastafarian, man. That's what I'm saying to you. People think that it's like ghosts are coming to haunt you. Why would a ghost want to scare you? If they're spending energy to come across the ways, the trails of the layers of existence to come here to say hi, and you go, ah, and the ghost goes, oh shit, they're crapping in their pants. All right, I'm never coming back to visit you again until sometime in the far future when you've decided to mature and understand that I just came to say hello, and not seriously that you stained and soiled your pants. That's great. You got skid marks now in your underwear.
What I love is especially on the YouTube videos where they're asking a spirit to show themselves or make it known that they're there, and they do, and the people go running and screaming, and it's like you literally just asked them to make their presence known.
Yep.
Why do you do this?
Well, they're foolish. They first of all, they don't believe it, and most of the time they don't, because when it happens, it's like, okay, what's the old saying? Be careful what you ask for. You might just get it.
Yeah.
Here at this house, it happens, and I'm like, all right. Sometimes it gets me. It's like, and I have to recalibrate my brain, saying, wait a second, why? And I have to go through the thoughts of, wait a second, why would a burglar knock as I'm walking down the hallway at 1:45 in the morning, thinking to myself, spirits, I got you covered, and I'm not saying it, I'm thinking it. So I throw my hands up, and then I hear a knock, and I'm like, I stop dead in my tracks, and I'm going. And the camera's right in front of me, 6 feet away. And I'm like, and you can see my brain's looking to what the hell? I said, why would a burglar knock to announce that they're here? I said, that's not what a burglar would do. I said, then it ain't a burglar. I said, no, it's even worse. Forget the burglar. It's the realization that I didn't say 2 words. And it's all on video on my channel. And I said, and all I'm thinking is, what did I do? I said, I walked down the hallway. I said, spirits, I thought to myself, I got you covered. I said, you're good. And I threw my hand up like this, like, you're good. And then the knock was, I said, oh shit. They didn't hear because I didn't speak because I thought it. They read my thoughts. They responded to the thoughts that I expressed. And they said, okay, acknowledged and received an acknowledged knock.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and so you watch the video and I'm sitting there for about 5 seconds and it's like, and that's like, and the realization is everything I just said came to the realization of, oh shit, it's just a ghost. And it's like you send, so I go up the stairs and you can hear me talking to myself saying, well, you got me there, spirits. You got me there. And it's like a few minutes later, I'm talking out loud and saying, oh shit. I said, you sons of bitches can read my thoughts. I said, isn't that a kick in the head? I'm not saying anything, but you can, I said, okay, that means there's no safe harbor. Meaning, you can bluff your ass to a spirit all you like and speak the words you want to speak. If you don't have, as Kolchak, the Night Stalker, said, he said to what's his face? No, sorry, wrong. No. In the movie with Roddy McDowall, what was it called? Fright Night.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Christopher Sarandon famously says to Roddy McDowall, and I love this movie for one reason, because it stays true to the rudimentary mythology of vampires.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they can't go out in the day. They get struck by sunlight. They die. And he says this very famous line, as Roddy McDowall holds up the cross to Christopher Sarandon as a vampire. He says, you've got to have faith for that to work.
Mm-hmm.
It don't work without faith. So the second time he comes across Roddy McDowall, and he's got the cross, and he puts it up to Christopher Sarandon. Sarandon thinks it's going to be a bluff, but then he realizes that Roddy McDowall has found his faith, and it works. So the point is that if you don't believe it in your soul, you can't bullshit a ghost. You can't bullshit a ghost. Yep. And the ghost can see right through your intention, because intention aside, it knows the core truth. And that's the thing about what I said, respect. Because if you have respect and you show respect, it can't be feigned. It can't be applied. It can't be appliqued. It can't be faux. It can't be phonied. It can't be. You either have it or you do not. And if you're sincere and you have respect, it'll carry you a lot farther in your life than anything else I can give the advice to your audience, because that's the key to everything. Look, I've lived here for 24 years. Ask me how many times I've been afraid of ghosts or ghosts have bothered to try to scare me. 0. Never once have I ever felt threatened or harmed, in harm's way. And the spirits are like, yeah, he respects us. His intention is to keep us protected at all costs. I'm the furthest thing from exploitive to the spirits. And they go, Mr. Oman's the one who's goddamn keeping us protected from people that would wish to exploit us and to make light of us and make us and want to keep our story honest. And it's not just the Sharon Tate victims. It's, for that matter, for people that are spiritually involved in the paranormal. Yeah. I'm just going to impart some simple words of wisdom, because when I pass, the only thing that will be left will be the words that I've spoken, and hopefully some of those will linger on, and people will take that to heart and say, he was right. Mm-hmm. He had some points there that made some sense that we just haven't really thought about. And it's like experience has given me a lot of insights into what I've seen, my beliefs about the paranormal, and it's an eye-opening experience when you realize how much bullshit there is in the field. It's just So
and we do it every day. So we know.
So when are you two coming out to visit to do your podcast here from the house?
Oh. We need to.
Yeah. I need to get back to California, so
they want us out there.
They want us out there.
That's in what, in 30 some odd minutes you've had 2 or 3 rings. That's it, and it's like it's like exclamation point.
Right. Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, I know we have some things planned, and either later this year or sometime next year, we're planning on taking some of the stuff on the road.
Mm-hmm.
So,
what do you have to take to come out here to do a show? I mean, seriously, what do you need?
Time off work and finances.
Oh, that,
yeah.
We'll set it up. The sooner the better,
Okay.
Things have a way of changing. Hey, Shiloh, is that you waking up, sweetheart?
No, I'll definitely be in contact, because it's something I think we would have, because I know we want to go to certain locations together.
Yeah.
And do stuff, do the podcast live, because I'm in Texas now and she's in Georgia.
Yeah.
Oh,
so yeah. So
well,
it takes some stuff to get us together.
Yeah. A lot of coordination.
Well, you should see about doing it. I'm telling you, the place would be appreciative. Right, Spirit?
Okay, we got to go now.
Son of a... And it's like within... All right, I'm sorry.
I wonder if it can ring twice for yes, they want us out there.
Yeah.
Spirits, can you accommodate the ladies and ring the bell twice for their response so they know it's genuine, because they don't believe you? Even though I'm dumbstruck in the fact you just rang within about a minute of each other of the 2 rings, that's pretty good.
It's okay. We'll still come out and visit.
No, that's not in the front. They're asking if you just ring it twice just to let them know confirmation wise, please. They'd be blown away if you did. All right. Good call.
They have to keep some secrets. I've learned that too. Like they're, you when we do I'm having it's late, Heather. My brain is not working. ITC sessions, and and we're asking questions like what is it like on the other side, or like how do we know this is real, and or whatever. I feel like they purposely don't answer because they have to keep those secrets. We're not supposed to know.
That's you just hit the nail on the head. There's no way that we would be able to
comprehend it and handle it.
Well, there's no point. You can't have the oldest question in human history get answered. It just can't get answered. It's been that way for millennia. Every religion, every human being is, what happens when you, well, I'm sorry, we don't have an answer, and you never will, because you can't have an answer. You can't, because it in some regards, it could destroy religion as we know it.
Yeah.
And it would destroy humanity in a lot. It could, I said, potentially destroy humanity, because, people would be offering themselves if there was a thing as paradise in the afterlife. Well, I want to get out of this way. How many, I'm saying, there's just a lot of different multiple reasons why you can't. Yeah. And one of them is just like I said, because if it was better, then a lot of people would be going, leave this shit, I'm going to get to the other side, get a shortcut. That's not a good thing. It's just, it's, and furthermore, I know there's something there. I don't know what it is, but I don't think it's what we all concocted it to be. And I'd rather be dumb and stupid and go there fundamentally not knowing is better than knowing, because your expectations are so great.
Yeah.
You're going to be disappointed no matter what it is, because it'll never, ever measure up to what you think in your head it's going to be. As is everything in life that we know that we are anticipating to. Yes, Samantha, I'm still doing the show. Thank you. I know that. Stop it. God, selfish.
Sounds as mouthy as my cat.
She's very, very Samantha. That's okay. Don't. My point is that if you don't know, you're going to be pleasantly surprised, and that's better than being pleasantly disappointed.
Yeah.
Yep.
Agreed.
I thought I'd kill all my goddamn dogs and cats and all the fish that I had that I flushed down the toilet, and I see one fucking fish representing all of them. What the hell? I must have killed over 1,000 fish in my lifetime. What is this? You can just imagine. God, how many fish did you have? How many goldfish did you have? Goldfish, tropical fish. Oh my God. All right. I'm sorry to hear that. You're not going to see all the dead fish that have died in your lifetime. I'm sorry. That's just not going to happen. About all the dogs and the cats and all the squirrels and monkeys. It's like, oh my God, guy. No, that's not. I mean, just think about that. It's like my expectation. I see all the dead people, all the relatives, and it's like, yeah, there's going to be a line of them. And then what? You're going to feel bad. You can say, I saw what you did last summer. And I'm not talking about the movie. Grandma, what the hell are you doing? Because I've kept an eye on you. You've been doing some pretty terrible things. Now that you're here, we're going to have a discussion about those things.
Could you imagine making it to the afterlife and getting grounded?
You're in a timeout. Get in that corner if you can find one. Yeah, the one in the round room. Go into the round room.
I have 2 little kids. I would love to be grounded. Please ground me. Lock me in my room. Mm-hmm. Give me some books to read.
Take away your phone, take away your computer, and just leave
Take away my phone, my computer. Give me a pile of books.
You might be challenging AI nanny to come along and do that.
Talk about a mom's vacation right there.
Oh God, I can't imagine.
I'm lucky mine are grown. I'm done with all that.
Never have been, no kids do I have to my name that I know of or that I don't know of. So I'm always grounded,
Well,
unfortunately.
all your spirits are your kids.
Yeah, there you go. And you have the animals too. So.
Ding.
I've got the 2 cats and a new puppy, Shiloh. Hey, Shiloh, you still there? You sleeping? Oh, good. You're sleeping. Yeah, you're sleeping. Oh God, is she a handful? My God.
Yeah. So we have about
train a dog.
15 minutes left, and I do have one question that I meant to ask you last time I had you on my show a couple of years ago. But if the spirits that are with you in the room, if they care to share, they don't have to, but if they want to share one thing on the show tonight, what would they like to let everybody in the audience know?
Oh, that's a funny one. The first words goes, must have been a comedian. Sounds like Shecky Green. He goes, death isn't all that it's choked up to be. That was good. I don't know. Maybe it was Rob Reiner that said that shit. I don't know.
That's what we need to do, is have a comedy night.
Yeah.
That would be amazing.
Oh, it'd be hysterical. I'm telling you, I get some very, very funny commentary from the spirits over here. Samantha, what? But no, you cannot talk on behalf of the spirits. They don't understand meow, 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 meow. I'm sorry, it doesn't work. I'm sorry, they don't understand that.
We can hear her loud and clear.
I know you can hear her. You can't understand what the fuck she's saying. It's a little problematic. I can hear it too. Can I translate? I have no fucking clue. Comedy night. I got Rodney Dangerfield here in the cat suit here.
Yeah. I'll have to introduce you to a friend of mine. She wrote a book channeling her cat through her Ouija board.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And it's a children's book.
That's the best. It's not
the
content that you laid it out, but the children's book was the thing that put it over the edge. It's like,
it turned out really cute, though.
Sam says, yeah, sure. I can translate cat there. Sam.
Well, real quick, I'm going to throw up House at the End of the Drive again. If anyone wants to check out the website, it's a pretty cool website. It has even photos, if I remember, of some that you've captured in the home. Yep, photos and video clips. And
you guys can go rent the movie there at the website as well at houseattheendofthedrive.com, and you can see it for yourselves. It's there for $3.99 for a 3-day rental. Please do, and don't forget the book, Ghosts of Cielo Drive. That's right.
One of these days, I'll find my copy again.
And you guys,
I'll just reorder it.
Always hear that.
Yeah.
You guys don't have any contacts at all in any television production companies? I have to ask.
I have a couple.
Has some, yeah.
Then we have to talk after the show because it's important. I had somebody that my neighbor referred me to, and we did a sizzle reel for a 4-part docu-series about the house. And that basically, he got busy with other projects and had to basically let go and just let me go on my way. But I've got the idea for a 4-part docu-series, which includes history, elements of history, and of course, has elements of true crime, and of course, the paranormal and the house in a 4-part layout, which is, I've had a lot of people look and say that would be fascinating. So
I have a couple that one production crew I work with, actually my family, we work with them regularly, filming different haunted locations, and then another group that I just got a part of. So we'll definitely.
Yeah, we'll talk after the show then.
And I think Tiffany said she had a couple too or something.
Oh, I don't.
Oh, you don't? Okay.
No.
Yeah, no.
That's your world, Heather.
No, and then I do have other contacts too that are in that, but
right.
We'll make sure.
But we were having a little bit of difficulty. Plus, I'd like to get this movie sold as a franchise to a studio, because the crap that they're doing, they're redoing the Rockford Files. I'm like, oh my God.
Oh, are they really?
Yeah, but
we're gonna ruin it.
But James Garner is dead. So who the fuck matters? I mean, come on. And it wasn't like, when he did The Notebook, he could play James Rockford anymore. He couldn't. It loses all of its tangible qualities, and the nostalgia is playing off of, yes, but it has zero connection to the original story whatsoever, because the main character that made James Rockford is long since dead.
Yeah.
It's like the Wild Wild West movie. You know what Robert Conrad said about that? He says it's a piece of shit. He couldn't stand it. He thought it was the biggest ripoff of a gosh darn. I said, I agreed. It was a great movie, but you got to just be original for somehow, in some way. Find some bone of credibility and find originality instead of remaking garbage. And it's like, God, that was Charlie's Angels. Wow.
Yeah.
God, I'm sorry. Jesus. Or Marvel and DC. The Avengers. I'm sorry. If I see another comic book come to life, it'll be cast with a friendly ghost going,
but yeah, I'm off Monday, so I'll definitely reach out to you, and we'll find time to chat and figure out what we can do.
Please, Heather. It would be very helpful to me to get this going, and we'll get you out here for the show as well.
Yep. Oh yeah.
Your first visit is like, well, this is, and I just spoke to Nick Groff's wife, Tessa, and she's interested because Nick was here 9 years ago now, when they shot, whatchamacallit, they shot, hold on one second, my battery's running low. Crap. They shot Ghost Adventures, and then they shot, it was Nick came out here with Katrina Weidman, and they shot a promo for Paranormal.
I knew the show he was on afterwards.
And we had shot video footage of that, and what was it? Discovery prohibited us from using the footage because Nick was on contract with him. And we had stuff happen when he was here, and it was batshit crazy. It was like going, oh, look at that happening on the screen. I said, that was nuts. So Nick was like, that's good footage. I said, yeah, it is. Couldn't use it. Now we can.
Oh, man.
We've got some good footage. We're going to get him to come back out for the doc series as well and be interviewed. Get her the impressions from her first visit here, which we would use with, again, Heather, that would be you as well, because you've never been here. We'd want to report.
I know.
Experience.
I've been wanting to get out there. Even when I lived in Vegas, we tried to get out there, but we just never did because we were planning it and then COVID hit.
I remember.
We didn't travel. Yep. Yeah, because we were coming before we took a cruise. We were going on a cruise, and we were going to stop by your place, a day or two before.
Right, and then
COVID hit, and we had to cancel our cruise.
Oh God!
Yeah.
Oh God!
I know. And then we moved back to Florida. So, but no, definitely, I'm gonna put this out there. A year from now, we'll be out there. Between now and a year from now, we'll be out there.
If you get the doc series, you'll be out here before that, because I'd like to get this thing, because it's 6 months to the anniversary. And the doc series, the beauty of the doc series is we're using a lot of the footage that I've already got in the library. So we're just doing introductions, interviews, so that the actual editing is going to take longer than the actual shooting, which was going to take about 4 or 5 days to shoot the whole thing.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of editing, but it can be done and put together within like 2 months. That's the beauty of it. So it's like the anniversary comes along. This would be the time to air the doc series.
Okay.
And then we have the movie roll out into the film after the doc series, because we have clips from the movie that we incorporate in the doc series, because it's cheaper to use footage that's already shot to do reenactments. No, we have footage that's from the movie. There's your source material right there.
Yeah.
So
I'll definitely start going through my contacts, and then I'll contact you Monday, and we'll find time to chat next week.
Sounds good. I look forward to it, Heather.
Perfect. And anything else you want us to promote before we let you go?
No, that's it. I was going to say, if you know anybody that wants to set up doing some ghost investigations here, that'd be good. I've got a great team, KKC, Kelly, Chris, and Kay, and every time they come over, the house like turns on like a turbocharged with spirit activity.
Oh wow!
I've got video footage from 2 weeks ago, where Chris was in the earthen wall room. The door is closed. The door you hear unlock and open, and then open 6 inches, and then it comes back and it closes on its own.
Wow.
Yep.
And I was like,
Can't explain that.
Yep.
I said, did you shut the door? He goes, yeah, I shut the door as you always told me to shut the door. I said, yeah, you shut the door. He locked it. He goes, yeah, I shut the door and it locked. and it unlocks, opens, as if somebody's like peeking in, and then closes.
Yeah. Oh, it's just you. I'm gonna close it.
And the camera from outside in the theater room, there's 3 people. They're all sitting at the gosh darn table, the dining room table that we have there that they do the seances at, about 20 feet away from where he is in the room and the door. And I'm like, he goes, did somebody just come out and open the door and close? And he goes, no. And no one was there. Mm-hmm. I was going upstairs already, so go figure.
Yep.
But again, it's just like it's a curiosity thing. They're not trying to scare you. Yep. You know, they're just saying, yeah, we're here. It's
they're
okay.
Nosy.
Yeah, exactly. They're nosy. They're Mrs. Kravitz, okay, from Duet. Abner, there's something going on across the street, Abner.
Yeah.
Abner, there's no house there. Oh my God, there's no house there, Abner.
Yeah, so if anyone has any questions, I'll definitely we will be putting up information on House on the End at the I can't
House
even talk
at the End of the Drive.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And your book on our Facebook page as well. We do have an album that I'm going to be updating with all of our guests and information on how to find them and get more information on them. So we'll make sure that we put that there so they can find you.
Is that a 33 or 45 or 78 album that we're talking about?
Oh yeah, no, it's the big one. The big one.
Sorry, Tiffany, I didn't mean to do that.
Well, you know, you have a home phone, so
I know. I understand.
Is that an LP or an EP that you're talking about?
Right, it's old phonograph.
An old phonograph. Albums are back in. I mean, I'm seeing advertisements.
They are. My daughter has a whole bunch of albums. We had to buy a record player.
I don't believe it.
I love it.
I threw my records and my record player out, and now like, do you have it? It's like,
don't do that. Don't do it.
Yep.
I know. I told her, I said, don't ever get rid of these. And don't ever get rid of the record player either.
Great. Yeah, don't ever. Yeah, because I'm never going to buy you another one ever again either. Is the real story behind that statement. You throw it out. I'm never buying you another one. You'll spend $300 on a new fucking record phonograph.
I have more fun playing the records than she does, I think, because there's just so much nostalgia with just putting it on and explaining to. Now it's not a real needle. Now it's just like it's like because they're digitalized, you know, so it's not like a real needle.
You're kidding. Yeah. The stylus.
No, I'm not kidding.
A stylus.
Yeah. So, but I had to explain. Yeah, I had to explain to her that it used to be an itty bitty teeny tiny little needle, and you had to get it just right, and you hear the scratching and.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. That's it. And the problem with the freaking album is after 15 minutes, you're shot. What do you mean? The freaking left side one. What do you mean side one? You have to take it off, flip it over, and put the goddamn needle, the stylus back to the gosh darn.
And I used to explain to her how big they were because we had, it was like a table. It was like, you know, like the height of a counter.
Yes.
It was all speaker.
That's right. What do you do? I still have the speakers from 40 years ago I went to college with that I had in high school. They were 3-foot high monitors. Stereo monitors, and it still says Rogers Sound Lab, RSL, which of course doesn't exist, but it says these speakers reproduce sounds that are equivalent to live rock concerts, so be careful. And the woofer is the woofer is probably about a 14-inch woofer. It has a 6-inch mid-range and a 3-inch cone tweeter. I mean,
that's awesome.
What the hell is that? So that's what a speaker is, or what? Oh my God. I can't believe it. The turntable doesn't have, that's not true. The turntable I have still has a gosh darn needle cartridge in it, and I have to buy a new cartridge with a new needle in it to put it on there, the stylus. So I'll have to look into the ones that don't have a stylus. That's got to be the
whatever we bought from Target or Amazon, wherever I got it from, it's just like.
Yeah. Well, we even saw the other day when we were shopping, went to a gaming store, and they had, it's about this big, and it was a device that you clamp onto the album. And it sits on your tabletop, and then it spins the album through it and plays it. So it's a portable record player.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah, they had something like that when I was a kid. It looked like a little VW bus, and you put it on the gosh darn thing, and it traveled around. On the top it had a speaker, and it played the songs of the album. I remember that as a kid. I'm sure they've since developed better than that shit.
Yeah. Oh, but it's been great chatting with you, David. I'll definitely be in contact, and we look forward to having you on the show again in the future.
I look forward to having you guys out here to visit to do a show, because I'm telling you, you got to plan on that and do it soon, because the stars are aligned. And
Yes.
the ringing of the bell wasn't something
That was proof. That
was awesome.
Proof alone.
The spirit's like, hey, yeah, get them out here. They're gonna have a good time and get to do the show and do a couple of live videos out here.
Yep.
What the hell is that?
Oh, that's my clock.
Oh.
It goes off at 10 o'clock every night.
How
Well,
funny
every
is that?
hour.
10 o'clock every hour. Okay.
You know I meant. Oh, yeah. I'm on 8 days straight. Bear with me. I'm
Yeah,
tired.
she's.
That's
Gotta
why I need to
figure
get to your
out
house, so that way I
time.
don't have to work anymore.
Yeah. You should come out here and try the house. I'm telling you, you guys could do a great bang up job with your podcast and do live streams from here. You'd be like one. Forget
Oh,
the
yeah.
podcast. We're doing a live stream going around ghost hunting at the Oman House.
We could just place the microphone down and the ghost can do the whole show for us.
Yeah.
While we go have,
Yeah.
They said,
And-
"What do you?" They just said, "What do you think we are? We're not AI, you know."
And you have to barbecue for us, because I heard you do mean barbecue, because you used to didn't you do barbecue nights where then it was barbecue and then ghost hunting?
We did barbecue ghost hunts here because I used to have a restaurant, and I did a video called the Bachelor's Barbecue Show.
Mm-hmm.
And I throw down some mean ass ribs that you can say these are better than Georgia ribs, baby.
I don't know about that. I don't know.
I do. Sweet baby Ray's, barbecue sauce. No,
That's not. No.
I use
We don't go for that.
Kraft barbecue sauce, the original, and I add some Kahlua or cranberry or orange juice to the mix of the barbecue sauce. It is.
I never
spot
thought
on
of
for
adding
the-
Kahlua to my barbecue sauce. I'm gonna have to do that now.
That's an idea.
I'm telling you, I saw it on Good Morning America like 20 years ago, and I said, you can use Kahlua, you can use Frangelico, you can use orange juice or even cranberry juice and add it to the mix, just like a couple of ounces into a big bottle. It kicks the flavor up a notch. It's like, wow, I got a coffee taste to it. It's like exactly from the Kahlua. Or the Frangelico gives you this sweet almond flavor. You can't beat it. I'm telling you.
We're gonna have to try that. I wonder how that would come out in a smoker, because we use a smoker a lot too.
Yeah, you can use the smoker. Again, it's just on the barbecue sauce. So I assume you don't put the sauce on it until towards the end of it. So
Yeah.
same thing. It'll be delicious. I'm telling you, try it.
Yeah. Oh, you guys are making
I
me
will.
hungry.
Yeah, I'm thinking, God, I ate like 2 hours ago.
I know
think
it's bedtime here though. It's too
I
late
know.
to eat.
So anything else, Tiffany, before we head on out?
No.
Okay. Well,
Nothing.
I am good. Real quick before we go, don't forget to follow us on Facebook at Ghost Education 101 and subscribe and catch the replay of tonight's show on YouTube, which is also Ghost Education 101. Last week, we had to postpone our Sunday recap, but we will be coming March 1st at 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Eastern to talk about what we covered last month, plus our monthly chit chat. And boy, do we have a juicy topic to talk about this month in our chit chat back and forth.
Yes, we do.
And next week, we have 6 psychics and mediums coming on our show for a panel discussion. And that will be same time, same place. So we will see you all next week. And thank
you and the
again,
ghost
David.
tune in and watch us.
You have a great night, and we'll talk to y'all soon.
Take
Good night,
care.
guys.